Good morning, students. So here for Tuesday, we are continuing on with graphing points on number lines, but this time we are going to be solving equations first. And you'll be very used to this because we have been solving for variables for quite a while, but of course I'm going to guide you through it. So after your review exercises and speed drills, we're going to learn how to place our solutions on our number line. Okay, so here it says to solve each equation. Okay, so we're going to solve for the letters as we've been doing. And then we're going to graph the solution on our number line here. So let me show you first an example. Up here, we have an example of x plus 5 equals 7. So, as we know, we have to figure out what number plus 5 gives us 7. Well, that one's pretty easy. 2 plus 5 gives us 7, so that means that x is equal to 2. And I'm sure you remember we did quite a few of these. But there's one more step. After we find out that x is equal to 2, we're going to then find 2 on the number line. For you, it would be this number line. And we're going to plot a point. You're going to draw a little point on 2 and then write a tiny little x. Because for this equation, x equals 2. So I'm not going to go over each of the examples that are already solved, but I will show you that for here, n was equal to 5, so n was plotted on 5 on the number line. Y was equal to 7, so y was plotted on 7. M was equal to 10, so then m was plotted on 10. So I'm going to solve the first two samples here on page 114, and then I'm going to plot the solution on the number line. So for our first sample, we have x plus 2 equals 3. Well, what number plus 2 equals 3? That one's very easy. We know that 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. So that must mean that x is equal to 1. Now that I know that x is equal to 1, I'm going to plot a little point here on the number 1 and write a tiny x on top. Now I'm going to do my second one. Y minus 2 equals 5. What number, if you take away 2, equals 5? So you may know this one really quickly, may not have to even think about it, but remember that when you have a subtraction problem, you can add the second number to the number on the other side of the equal sign. But this one's so easy that I'm pretty sure you do know it by memory. But it is 7. 7 minus 2 equals 5. And we would also get 7 if we added the 2 plus 5. So now that we know that 7 minus 2 equals 5, we know that y is equal to 7. And we are going to plot that on our number line. So we're going to find the number 7. We're going to plot a point and write the letter y on top. Nice and tiny because we will have to fit another 10 on our number line. Also, when you are finished, make sure that you're also writing your answers, the ones that look like this, in your answer column here. So plot your points once you get your answer with your letter on top of the number, and then write your response here to the left on your number line. And here for Tuesday for language arts, we have what's called the first rules of capitalization. And this is actually going to be quite easy because we are used to capitalizing. And we know by now the main rules of capitalization. We know to always capitalize the first letter of a sentence, and it says that right here. We know to capitalize the first word of a direct quotation because we learned that last week. When you're starting a quote, you should capitalize the first letter of the quote, whether or not it starts the sentence. And we always capitalize I, like it was I who answered the phone. We never use a short I for the pronoun I. So these are new capitalization rules according to our book, but we've been doing these for quite a while, so this should be pretty easy. So what you're going to do on Think A is you're going to draw a line through each incorrect small letter and write the correct capital letter above it. So we do this a lot when we do our editing and spelling, but it's the same concept. If you see that there's a letter that should be capitalized, mark a little line through it. I'm going to do the first one with you and then write the correct capital letter. So for number 1, it says, quote, "Who are you?" I asked. Well, according to capitalization rule 2 that we learned last week, not only do we capitalize words that start a sentence, but we also capitalize words that start a quote. So definitely this W should be capitalized. So we're going to draw a small line through it and put a nice big W on top. Who are you? I asked. And as we're very used to by now, we capitalize the pronoun I. So small line through that and a capital I above it. So you'll just be doing that same thing for numbers 2 through 10. So then here for look closely, I love look closely because it always gives very good tips. It says the first word in every line of poetry usually begins with a capital letter. Some modern poets do not follow this style. When you copy a poem, be sure to capitalize it exactly the way the poet himself or herself did. Okay, so just making sure that when you read a poem, sometimes the poet may not capitalize. And that's okay because that's how the poet intended. But for any other work or any other correction that you do on your own, you should capitalize the letters according to the rules. Okay, so here for write B, it says to write one sentence on notebook paper, which uses capitalization rules 1 through 3. So it just means that you're going to write a few sentences, one in which the first letter is capitalized, another in which the first letter of a quote is capitalized, and another where you use the letter I, the pronoun I. So it's quite easy using the rules right here from the top as we learned. Then for remember C, we're going back. It says identify the part of speech of each word in the following sentences. We've done this a few times. We just did it last week. We have here all of our little contractions that we use over our parts of speech. So you're just going to read the sentences and then write the part of speech on top of the word. So remember, when we see a person, place, thing, or idea, it's a noun, and action's a verb. We have all of our pronouns that we've been using, I, she, he, they, them. Our adjectives, remember, are describing words. Our conjunctions, they join. So just think about those as you're reading your sentence so that you can identify them using your parts of speech. For Tuesday here for spelling, you have your vocabulary word assignment as usual. Please remember to use the table on the top that says the prefixes, roots, and suffixes so that you can take some hints and be able to match your meanings to your words. However, as usual, I always recommend that you find the exact meaning in the spelling dictionary in the back of the book. But for today, you're just writing the definitions as usual, the meanings with the definitions, and this time just completing sentences. So we don't have any multiple choice or puzzles. It's just the two sections to complete the meanings and sentences.